Hey guys, it's me S with TrevetDecorBoutique.com, and I've got another TDC Techniques video for you guys tonight. We're going to be making 5 boxes from one 12 by 12 inch sheet of scrapbooking paper, and I got my inspiration and instruction for this video from Sam over at Pootles Papercraft. I'm going to link her tutorial in the description for my video because I think she does a wonderful job at explaining, and of course it's where I learned how to do this craft. I have just made a few significant changes to customize this craft to meet my needs, but I still think you should check out her video just because it's wonderful. But let's go ahead and get started, and I will show you how to make these boxes. So like I said, there are going to be 5 boxes that you can make out of one 12 by 12 inch sheet of scrapbooking paper. They're small, smaller. The largest is going to be 3 inches by 3 inches by 1 inch, but as you can see, they're really just a great size for sweets or gift cards or little notes. The boxes, once you embellish them, are super cute. The smallest is going to be 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch, and it's the cutest little box you've ever seen in your whole entire life. My 4-year-old absolutely loves these little boxes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make them now. Some of the things that you're going to be needing: a paper cutter. You can obviously use just a pair of scissors or an X-Acto knife and a ruler if you want to, but a paper cutter really is going to be your best bet in terms of getting those first cuts on the sheet of scrapbooking paper really precise. The other thing that is going to be really important for you to have is a scoreboard. There's just no way around really having a scoreboard. You can have some of the different, like maybe We Are Memory Keepers punch boards that have built-in scoring lines, but you need something that is 12 by 12, especially for this craft. So go ahead and get a scoreboard. I'm using the Martha Stewart. It comes with a bone folder, which you will not need for my version of this craft, but if you do Sam's version or any other version of box making, you will need a bone folder. So keep that in mind. You will also need a pair of scissors. These are considered the fussy cut kind. They're really small, and the nose of the scissors is really fine tipped. You can use a bulkier pair of scissors. That's not a problem at all, but I do suggest the fussy cutting scissors. You're also going to need a scoring stylus. This is also the Martha Stewart kind. And then you're going to need some glue dots. This is the best product for adhering this set of boxes together. You can use obviously double-sided tape, but this is going to be your best bet for doing this particular project quickly. So you're going to want to have some glue dots handy. You're also going to want some foam dots, but this is more for the embellishments at the end to make, you know, the flowers or the butterflies pop out. So you'll want some foam dots. You'll also want other types of embellishments. I'll be using this particular washi tape tonight. You can use washi tape, you can use self-adhesive pearls, different types of flowers, maybe some butterflies. So I just got a little sample of the different types of embellishments that you can use. And the other thing that I consider to be essential is you're going to want a cheat sheet. Now, I make these every time I come across a craft that I know I'm going to want to reproduce over and over and over again. I just go ahead and make myself a little template or tutorial sheet. And this has all of the pertinent information on it that will help me make this craft quickly without having to watch the video over and over and over again, or even just to jog my memory if I think that I have memorized it, which is always really prideful to do, and I forget something. It's just helpful to have a little sheet of paper handy. So I've got one for the boxes themselves, and then I've got a cheat sheet for the belly bands. So what I do when I'm watching YouTube videos is I pause or I take screenshots to get the information that I need. So I'm actually just going to hold this up for you for 1 second. And if you'd like to pause, and if you'd like to take a picture of that and keep it and then either print it out or make a copy of your own, totally fine. But this is everything you'll need to know to do this project on one teeny tiny sheet of paper. And here is the cheat sheet for the belly bands. And these right here are the belly bands themselves, okay? So our boxes, like I said, our largest is going to be 3 by 3 by 1, and I'm going to talk about the paper sizes in just 1 second, but the largest one is 3 by 3 by 1. So if you're going to do a vertical or a long belly band on that longest or that largest box, it's going to be 1 inch wide by 9.5 inches long. And since it's a perfect square, it's 3 by 3, you're going to have the same exact dimensions for the horizontal But if you look at the other types of boxes, except for the first one, they're not perfect squares. So you're going to want different dimensions, whether you're going to choose to do your belly band the long way, the vertical way, or the horizontal way, the short way. So this is just a cheat sheet. I'll hold that up for you again as well. So you can maybe take a screenshot or copy the information yourself onto a sheet of paper. But that is a cheat sheet that I have created for myself. So I'll keep those handy because I'm going to need them. And these are my belly bands, which I'm actually just going to move over off to the side for right now, just so I can have them out of the way. But I will be coming back and using these just a little bit later. So let's go ahead and talk about cutting your 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper. So with your paper cutter, what you're going to do is you're going to make your very first cut at 3 inches. And what that's going to do is give you a sheet of paper that is 3 inches by 12 inches long. And then you're going to make another cut at 5 inches, and what that's going to do is leave you with 2 sheets of paper. One is a 3 by 5 and another one is a 3 by 7. So those are your smallest boxes. The next cut that you're going to make again is at 3 inches, so you're going to have been left with a 9 by 12, and you're going to make another 3-inch cut, and you'll have a 3 by 9 sheet of paper left. And then what you've got left is a 9 by 9 sheet of paper, and so what you're going to do is make a cut at 4 inches, and what you'll have left is a 4 by 9 and a 5 by 9. Okay? So these are your paper, the sizes that you're going to be needing to make these boxes. And then let me just explain the cheat sheet just a little bit to you. So all I've done is we've started out with a 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper. You're going to make a cut at 3 inches, like I said, and then a cut again at 5 inches, and that's going to give you your 3 by 5 and your 3 by 7. And this 3 by 5 creates a box that's 1 by 1 by 1. This 3 by 7 creates a box that's 2 by 1 by 1. And if you notice here on our belly band cheat sheet, that's the same exact information that's here. The paper size is 3 by 5, the box size is 1 by 1 by 1, and so on and so forth. So then on my little cheat sheet, what comes next is I am reminding myself where to score and what special instructions for scoring I need to remember. So short side at top. Okay, so we're going to put the short side at the top, and then we are going to score the short side at 1 inch and at 2 inches. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. And then I need to turn it, and I'm going to score it at 1. I flip it over because it's easier to see. At 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that is my smallest box, as you can see my score lines. Okay. Then I'll move right along to the next size box, which says short side up. Okay, got it. Score at 1. Oops. I always mess up. At 1, there we go, and at 2. Okay, flip it over, and then we are going to be scoring at 1, 3, 4, and 6. Okay. 1, 3, 4, and 6. Okay, so don't do like I did. Don't go too quickly. Go nice and slow so you can get really crisp scoring on your cards, and then you can follow this cheat sheet for the other 3 that are left. You're gonna do your scoring for the 3 by 9 at 1 and 2 on the short side, and then you're gonna turn it and do the scoring at 1, 4, 5, and 8. And then for the 4 by 9, you're gonna do your score at 1 by 3 on the short side and 1, 4, 5, and 8 on the long side. And then for the 5 by 9, you're gonna do your score 1 and 4 on the short side, and then 1, 4, 5, and 8 on the long side. And for the sake of time, I have gone ahead and completed all the scoring on all 5 of these boxes just to sort of speed the process along. So here are all of my boxes with all of the scoring. So then the next step that you're going to do is you're going to fold along all of the score lines. So every single score line you are going to fold. Now, the thing that we're going to be doing later that's sort of new is we're going to be making cuts. And so since we're going to be making cuts and getting rid of some of the paper that is in these boxes, we don't need to use our bone folder to reinforce these score lines. But if you are going to choose not to use adhesive and not to cut, then you're really going to want to reinforce these folds on your sheets of paper really, really well. Since we're not, I just go pretty quickly. I just make sure that I reinforce all of my scores to the best of my ability, but fairly quickly. You don't need to do it in any really serious way. So that is the next step. The step that follows that very shortly after, so these are all of my boxes once they have been scored, and then I have reinforced the score lines. The next step that we are going to do is we are going to do our cutting, and this is sort of the most, maybe the most finicky or precise part of the whole process. And once it's done, it's all downhill from there. So it's really easy to do. And this part really isn't all that hard once you do it for the first time. And after you do that, it gets easier and easier and easier. But there's one thing that I learned the hard way. My sister-in-law helped me learn it, actually. And there's a specific reason why I chose this particular cardstock. I love the designer paper that is color coordinated on the back, so that the color on the back side matches the front side, especially for this craft, because then when you go through and make your belly bands, it's really easy to just have a coordinated sheet of paper. But if you are choosing some scrapbooking paper that has directional printing on it, so there's a proper right side and an improper wrong side, you need to be careful how you construct your cuts, because at the end you may have your box upside down and there's really nothing you can do about it. So if we pay attention early on, we won't have to end up with a box that is upside down in the end. So the best way that I can explain how to make sure that your paper is on the right side is that it's always the opposite. So think about it this way. This is going to turn into a box like this. Okay, this will be the top, which is right. So when you're looking at it this way, your paper should be upside down, so that when you flip, your box top will be right side up once you close it. Okay, so that's only, again, if you have directional paper. So if I left it this way, right side up, the way that I can read it, when it comes time for me to close that box, it's upside down. And that's kind of heartbreaking. So you don't want to do all of the work and then end up with your box upside down. So just remember to make sure that you have your directional paper the right way, look at it upside down, and then just flip it right over. Okay. The cuts that we're going to be making, there are going to be 6 initial cuts. So the first cut, and this is again with your paper going the right direction, is going to be 3 up from the bottom. Okay. The other cut corresponds directly with that one. Okay. Then we're going to come to the top and bottom, and we're going to make 2 cuts upward. Okay. And then those are the easy cuts. Then, okay, you want to always return your paper to where it would be if you were to close the box. So you always want to make sure that it's going the right direction when you're doing your cuts, so that you can always be oriented properly. Okay, so we're going to turn it facing the right direction. Okay, then these 4 cuts are going to be diagonal inward. Okay, diagonal inward, like that. Okay, and if you did your cutting properly, which I apparently didn't, this little triangle will just pop out. Okay, just like that. And save these little triangle pieces. As a paper crafter, you know they can be recycled into many things. You can make a flower out of these triangles. You can use them as confetti. You can cut into them some more. Don't throw these away. They're really valuable. Okay, so after you've made that cut, you are going to turn your paper upside down and make the exact same cuts on the other side, on the opposite side. Okay. Then again, turn your paper the way that it's supposed to be, and you can already see that it's becoming a box even after just these cuts. Now these final 2 cuts are going to be sort of the trickiest if you're not patient with your process. Again, after you do it for the first time and complete it, it'll be easy breezy the rest of the way. But what you're going to do is, once you have your paper right side up for the closing of the box, you're going to turn it upside down, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut where we made our original cut. You're going to cut in downward here, and the same thing on the other side. Okay, downward here. Okay, Then you are going to fold this flap in and cut this triangle out. Get it out of there. Same thing on the other side. Cut that triangle out. Okay, so then what you're left with is this sort of double cross thing going on. It's actually a really neat design, and I'm going to do that again just so you can see it happen again, and then we'll move on from there. But this is what you're looking to find. Okay, all of the boxes are cut the same exact way. Okay, so let's just confirm that we have this going in the right direction. It's directionally upside down when you're looking at it, but that's the right way. Flip it over. You're going to do your first cut 3 up from the bottom. Okay, and your other cut on the other side is exactly opposite. Okay, and then you're going to do your 4 cuts on the middles, just like that. Okay, and then you're going to do diagonal cuts in, like that, diagonal cuts in, like that. Flip it upside down, diagonal cuts, oops, my scissors are acting funny, diagonal cuts in, diagonal cuts in, oops, get that once again, there we go. Okay, then again, flip it over, make sure everything is right, you know, the right way that it's supposed to be. Again, these 2 cuts are sort of the trickiest because they're not on the ends, but you're holding it this way. Flip it upside down, and you're going to do a diagonal cut inward, other side, diagonal cut inward, and then fold this flap over. Just go ahead and cut that right off. Fold this flap over. Go ahead and cut that right off. Okay, and there you have it. Okay, so then you can already see the box coming together, and we're going to put some glue dots on this, but that is how you are creating the box. Oops. Your box is already, well, not cooperating, but coming together. Isn't that great? So by the time that you're done cutting all of your boxes, they will look like this. Okay, so I've got all of my boxes, and they look like this once they are all cut properly. They look exactly the same, they're just in different sizes. So now we're going to do our last section, or our last part of this process on the boxes themselves, which is to add glue dots. And all of them are exactly the same. You're going to be adding glue dots on these 6 triangles, just on the triangles. Okay, so the easiest way to use glue dots is to just peel away the outer protective covering to as many glue dots as you need. Like I said, we're going to need 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just tear that off and set it aside, and then all you do is press, and it comes right off. It's right there. Oops. Press. Oops. Press a little harder. There we go. Comes right off. Press. Comes right off. And then you do this for all 6 of your triangles on your box, and hopefully they cooperate with you. And then, oopsies, to get your box to stick together, okay, you're going to overlap 2 of the triangles that are closest to each other, just like that. Line them up, and then you're just going to pull this flap up and press. And now that side of the box is complete. Flip it over, do the exact same thing on the other side. Fold this in and adhere the 2 sides of the triangle to each other, and then fold that flap in, align it, press, and that side of the box is done. And the last one, adhere those 2 triangles together, pull that flap up to it, and then I usually fold this back and just press to make sure that I get that glue done in. And that's your lid. Closes nice and tight right over that. And your 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch box is complete. Is that not the cutest thing? We can just move right along and do the others. So I need 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, on each of the triangles that you have created, you put a glue dot. So a glue dot there, and a glue dot there. And I did originally try this with score tape, which I love. I swear up and down by score tape, but it's just easier to use glue dots with this particular craft because it can be kind of finicky since everything you're working with is so small. I mean, we are getting 5 boxes out of one 12 by 12 inch sheet of paper, so it's not really a wonder. But you're going to go ahead and adhere the 2 triangles to each other and then the flap to those. One side done. Adhere the 2 sides of the triangles, or the 2 triangles to each other, and then the flap to those. Press, get a good adhesion going. Adhere 2 sides of the triangle to each other, and the flap, fold it back, and now your second box is done. And then you just keep doing this until you have created all 5 of your boxes. And the last step that we're going to be doing is the belly bands. So again, here is my cheat sheet for the belly bands. And we are working with the 2 smallest boxes. So we've got the 1 by 1 by 1, and we've got the 2 by 1 by 1. And so for the 1 by 1 by 1, since it's a perfect square, you're going to be using a belly band size the same exact. It's the same exact whether you're doing it horizontally or vertically. And that's this little strip right here. And again, this is the flip side of the paper that we started off with. So it's the perfect shade to go with this. And the best way to score belly bands is to just use the product itself as a scoring tool and just press right on the sides until you get a score line. And then just go ahead and fold it over and maybe press a little harder to really reinforce that line. You can obviously score on the scoreboard to figure out the dimensions, but it's really a waste of time because it folds just perfectly on the product itself, on the craft itself. Just go ahead and reinforce and reinforce. And let me just remember where the front of this thing is. There we go. Just so I can have my bearing straight. Yeah, okay. And this is the start of our belly band. So it's going to fit perfectly over there. And now all we have to do is embellish it. And I'm a huge, huge fan of washi tape, so I use it all the time. And I'll use it now too. This might be actually just a little bit too dark pink, but I don't really want to dig through the rest of mine. So you just kind of, oh, this is actually going to be really pretty. Just lie the washi tape down. Well, I did that totally poorly. Let's try one more time. There we go. We want to really get it in the center there. Okay, and then just go ahead and press down and get your, you can actually, this particular washi tape you can just tear. I really like tape that you can just rip. It saves time in cutting, but I'll just go ahead and cut this off to be precise. And press in and then just reinforce those score lines one more time because the washi tape will have made them kind of rigid. And then you grab your box, put the belly band around it, grab one glue dot, adhere it to one side of the belly band, and this is just going to seal up the belly band. It doesn't like to stick to the washi tape because it's somewhat waxy, so it doesn't like to come off of there. Oops, let's get our box going the right direction. There we go. Oops. Okay, and then just adhere the belly band to itself to create just that really clean cut look, right? Now you could leave it like that, it's cute, but it's not as cute as it could be. So let's try to add maybe one more, that's too big, one more embellishment to it. I really am liking these little butterflies, so I think I will adhere this one just a little bit, maybe askew. So I'll go ahead and adhere this foam dot to the back there just go ahead and take that right off. And I'm just going to do this a little tiny bit askew. And then because this is a button, you know as well as I do as a crafter, we can basically repurpose anything. So this is a button, it's got those 2 holes in it because it's meant to be adhered to fabrics and things like that. And I don't like the way that that looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a, you know, I think that color might not be quite right for that. So let's try a pearl instead. Yeah, I think that looks better. And I love whenever embellishments come on clear sheets of backing, because then you can kind of look at this and say, okay, well that pearl is way too small and that pearl is way too big. So let's go for this one here in the middle. And we'll just cut that off like that. I really should have my tweezers for this, but I'm stubborn. It's not perfect, and that's not okay. There we go. All right, and there you have it. Isn't that the cutest little box you have ever seen in your entire life? And it comes in all of those 5 sizes. And let me just go ahead and show you some more examples. Move this out of the way really quickly. Some more examples of these boxes, because I have been making them for about 2 weeks now. My husband is sort of up to his eyeballs in boxes. They're just all over. We have a shared hobby space and they're just everywhere, all over everything. So there's one set, and then here's another in the green. I really like this green pattern paper. It's a Martha Stewart, one of her holiday collections, and it's really just gorgeous. Where did my little teeny box go? There it is. Okay, and then just super quickly, the last thing that I'll do is I just want to show you why I go through the trouble of cutting when you could just as easily fold and just not bother with the cutting. But let me show you some of my early projects. Here you can see that there's just extra paper down in here, and extra paper here, and extra paper here. And it's totally fine if you want to go for that sort of blooming approach or method where the box just kind of opens up whenever the person wants to get the treat out. But I was just thinking to myself, I would like it if it were just a tiny bit cleaner, a little bit less bulky. And so that's why I went through the trouble of figuring out where the cuts should go. And that's just so that I have a little tiny bit less paper, and so that when I use my glue dots, that the paper itself isn't fighting against the adhesion that the glue dots are trying to provide. So these are the boxes that I've made without the extra pieces of paper in there, and you can just see how clean they are. Really, really just a neat little project. So thanks so much for spending time learning how to make 5 boxes from 1 sheet of 12 by 12 paper. Happy crafting. Have a great day, and don't forget to visit us at trinkets.com. Talk to you later. Bye.